Hello friends, let us now learn some important points about the lesions of nasopharynx and hypopharynx. So in the lesions of nasopharynx and hypopharynx, first and foremost, the first important lesion is nasopharyngeal fibroadenoma. Nasopharyngeal fibroadenoma, or we can also call it as juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. Juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. Nasopharyngeal fibroadenoma or juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma, these are the most common benign tumor of the nasopharynx. This is the most common benign tumor of the nasopharynx, and if you see, the angiofibromas are actually rare, but juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibromas are common in the nasopharynx. These are most commonly seen in the posterior part of the nasal cavity, that too close to the margin of spinopalatine foramen. Now, these nasopharyngeal angiofibroma are most commonly seen in males, that too between the age group of 10 to 20 years of age. They are locally invasive vasoformative tumors which are consisting of endothelium lined vessels with no muscle coat. They consist of endothelial lined vessels with no muscle coat. Now, this juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma, the most common, this will receive blood supply most commonly from the internal maxillary artery. Now, if you see the clinical features mainly depend upon the spread of the tumor to the nasal cavity. It depends upon the spread of the tumor to the nasal cavity or to any organ or to paranasal sinuses. It also depends upon the spread of the tumor to pterygomaxillary fossa. It also depends on the spread of tumor to infratemporal fossa, and it also depends on the spread of the tumor to cheek and also to the cranial cavity. So if you see the symptoms, the most common symptom is spontaneous, profuse and recurrent epistaxis is the most common symptom of juvenile nasopharyngeal fibroma. Here it shows progressive unilateral nasal obstruction, which mainly is seen as a denasal speech. It is seen as denasal speech. It shows hypoxemia or anosmia. There is also broadening of the nasal bridge is seen. So all these are the facial features which we see in juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. We also see otalgia and conductive hearing loss or serous otitis media are also seen due to eustachian tube obstruction. All these features are initially unilateral, later they are bilateral. So this nasopharyngeal angiofibroma is a pink and purplish mass which is obstructing either one or both the choana in the nasopharynx. This will obstruct either one or both the choana of the nasopharynx. This is actually a tumor of orbit which will cause proptosis, frog face deformity. This will also cause diplopia or decreased vision is seen. Here the nasopharyngeal angiofibroma also causes swelling of cheek. It is also a tumor of infratemporal fossa which shows trismus and which also shows bulge of the parotid gland. So if you see the cranial nerves involvement, second, third, fourth and fifth and sixth cranial nerves are most commonly involved. Then if we see the signs of juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma include splaying of nasal bones, pink or purplish mass which is obstructing one or both choana. There is splaying of nasal bones, then there is pink or purplish mass obstructing one or both choana in the nasopharynx. It also associated with swelling of cheek and fullness of face. Now if we see the diagnosis, So in the diagnosis, we will have to take a soft tissue lateral film of nasopharynx is done, and we can also do X-ray of paranasal sinuses and X-ray of base of skull can be done. And if we do the CT scan of head with contrast enhancement, this CT scan of head with contrast enhancement is the investigation of choice, and this will show the extent bony destruction or displacement and anterior bowing of posterior wall of maxilla. It causes anterior bowing of posterior wall of maxilla, and this sign where you see anterior bowing of posterior wall of maxilla is called as antral sign or Halmer-Miller sign, and it occurs due to the tumor enlarging in the pterygopalatine fossa. This sign is antral sign or Halman-Miller sign. Now if we see the MRI, MRI is done to view the soft tissue extension. Then carotid angiography is done. This will show the extent of the tumor. It will show the extent of the tumor. It will show its vascularity, and also it will show the feeding vessels. It will show extent of the tumor, its vascularity and the feeding vessels. Then if you see the biopsy, biopsy is contraindicated because only blood vessels and fibrous tissue with no muscle coat. This will cause profuse bleeding. Biopsy is contraindicated because the tumor contains only the blood vessels and fibrous tissue, and there is no muscle coat present in the tumor, and as a result, because there is no muscle coat and it completely presents with blood vessels, so if we try to take a biopsy, that will result in profuse bleeding. So because there is no chance of vasoconstriction in the vessels. Then if you see the treatment of choice is surgical excision, and this will decrease the blood loss during surgery. If you do surgical excision, this will decrease the blood loss during surgery. We can do pre-operative embolization can be done, estrogen therapy can be given, and we can also give cryotherapy, and radiotherapy is also given to the patient. Then if you see, we also have to do pre-operative embolization. This pre-operative embolization will decrease the blood supply to the pre-operative embolization decreases the blood supply and this pre-operative embolization causes less bleeding if tumor removal is done within 24 to 48 hours of embolism. It causes less bleeding if tumor removal is done within 24 to 48 hours of embolism. Then if you see the surgical approaches, we have Radkowski classification of juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. So in this Radkowski classification of juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma, we have different stages, and the extent of the tumor and surgical approach is important. So stage 1A. In stage 1A, tumor is limited to the nose and the nasopharyngeal vault. Tumor is limited to the nose and nasopharyngeal vault. In surgical approach, it can cause, we have to do transpalatine or endoscopic or Wilson's approach has to be done. Then in stage 1B, you will have to, the tumor might extend into the paranasal sinuses. So surgical approach is, we have to do medial maxillectomy and lateral rhinotomy is done, or endoscopy is done. Then in 2A, there is minimal extension to pterygomaxillary fissure. So in tumor extent, we can cause minimal extension to pterygomaxillary fissure. Then if you see the surgical approach, this will cause extended lateral rhinotomy or Lee-Fort-1 operation. Then we have 2B stage. In 2B stage, the tumor can undergo full extension to pterygomaxillary fissure plus erosions of orbital bones can occur. Then this surgical approaches, it can cause extended lateral rhinotomy plus it can cause removal of anterior wall of maxillary sinus, and this can also along with nasal pyriform aperture. This can cause removal of anterior wall of maxillary sinus along with nasal pyriform aperture. Then if you see 2C, in 2C the tumor extends to the infratemporal fossa or cheek or posterior to the pterygoid plates. So in surgical approach, because it has extended to infratemporal fossa, we should have infratemporal fossa approach or maxillary swing approach or facial translocation. Then we have 3A. In 3A, there is tumor extension causes erosion of the skull base, and here there is minimal intracranial extension. Here you will see combined intracranial plus or minus extracranial approach is seen in surgical approach. Then we have 3B. In 3B, tumor extension is extensive. There is extensive intracranial plus or minus cranial sinus extension can be there, and in surgical approach you will have to do neurosurgery or radiation can be done. So these are the important things about the tumor extent and surgical approach. About the nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. In nasopharyngeal angiofibroma, there are also other modalities of treatment, like we can do radiotherapy, hormonal therapy can be done, and even chemotherapy can be done. Radiotherapy is done for intracranial extension of tumors when it derives blood supply from the internal carotid artery. It is done for intracranial extension of the tumors when it derives its blood supply from internal carotid artery. Then radiotherapy can also be done for recurrent angiofibroma. For recurrent angiofibroma, treatment should be done with intensity modulated radiotherapy. Then if you see hormonal therapy can be done for anti-testosterone drugs. Hormonal therapy for anti-testosterone drugs can be tried where you see presence of diethylstilbestrol with flutamide. Then chemotherapy can also be done. Chemotherapy can be done which includes doxorubicin, vincristine, dacarbazine, where you can do chemotherapy, and chemotherapy can also be done for residual lesions with recurrent lesions. So these are for residual and recurrent lesions. We can do chemotherapy with doxorubicin, vincristine and dacarbazine. But the main modality of treatment for angiofibroma is surgery. So this is about the juvenile nasopharyngeal angiofibroma. Thank you for watching.